So PDF, I get that I'm going to want to be aware of my general PDF environment. JDF lives in a slightly different space in my overall workflow. The people who are smart about JDF in my enterprise environment or my commercial environment might be different from the people who are my PDF experts. Why is JDF important to this idea of building an automated document factory?
Yeah. Well, with JDF, you can do a number of things. One, you can create some precision around what you're asking the devices to do. And it doesn't have to be just a single device, because a JDF can be applied to multiple devices in a nodal workflow system. So for example, you might have a finishing device, a binder or something like that needs information. The JDF can contain information for the binder. It can contain information for the primary print device that does, for example, in a book, the inside pages, and another one that does something with the cover. That's the design of JDF, is to be more holistic about the nature of workflows, and that they can incorporate multiple physical devices.
And that's what you mean by a nodal system, right? That each
exactly.
one of these things is sort of a node on the workflow.
That's right. That's right. But JDF also helps to solve problems with capturing information from the processes. And so feeding information from the processes back to the systems that need to manage them is a really important part of the automated document factory problem. If those systems that are driving the business don't get feedback on what's being done, you have inefficiencies. And for example, a classic challenge with systems that don't have good feedback is then getting billing out is problematic. And it's really billing that drives the business. If you can't bill, you can't pay for things.
That is a bigger problem than a lot of people realize. In a number of assessments that I've been part of over the last few years, it comes up as a talk track, because I've had printing companies, commercial printing companies and enterprise PSPs say to me, yeah, we don't actually know how much money we made until sometime into the next year, because it takes us that long to try and find all the invoices and the change requests and see if we actually billed for them. So the goal of an automated document factory would be that you should never have that conversation again, I would imagine.
Well, that's the hope. And I think a JDF file is really interesting, because like the PDF, it becomes a document of record. You can save that thing, and then you have a record of what the processes were that were invoked and what their return results were. So if you want an audit trail of your operations, a JDF is a great way to do that.
Does that inform dashboards as well? Because I know dashboards they've become really important to ensuring that everybody in the enterprise understands the current work in process.
Well, that's right. And in fact, a dashboard is not just about knowing what's going on right now, but being able to create a record of it, because once process is complete, sometimes there are files associated with that fulfillment that need to be kept along with the record of the transaction. And so the dashboard allows you to do that. It lets you to implement, for example, the proof and approval workflow. So you release jobs that have been approved, and ones that are pending approval are sitting there waiting, and you know that. And I think probably even more importantly, a dashboard will let you know when you're behind on work that you have to get done.
One of the Solimar secrets, I think, is SoloTrack, which I fell in love with when I first read the announcement, but then I actually had a chance to experience. How does a product like SoloTrack, how does it play in that overall ADF environment?
Right. Well, what SoloTrack it does is it provides a platform for people to manage their jobs. And as part of the chemistry platform, it has interfaces to all of our other products. So it's well aware of anything else that's going on, and it can interface with third-party products or workflows. So if you have custom workflows, you can invoke some simple routines with SoloTrack that allow you to track those jobs within SoloTrack. The idea being that when you have workflows, you're going to have what we refer to as checkpoints. important events in the life of that workflow that you want to know when you've reached that point and past that point. And so SolidTrack is really, as we refer to it, a GPS for your document. And that doesn't have to be just print. It can be an archiving workflow, which can include an accessible workflow, that kind of thing. So yeah, SolidTrack is in many ways an overloaded product for us. It has a lot of functionality because it's intended to be a broad form output management system for people that integrates across our product suite.